Hi guys, it's Taylor, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be recommending my favorite Halloween reads if you're a coward like me. So, I'm not really into the whole getting spooked for fun thing. I mean, technically I am. I've done like the amusement park haunted mazes before, but in terms of reading and watching movies, it's not really my thing. It's weird to say that my favorite scary movie is Get Out because it's technically not that scary, but I digress. I got a little off track there. I love Get Out. So today, I am recommending my favorite Halloween reads if you're kind of like me and you don't like to be spooked too much. So let's get started. I've got only a few recs here, so I'd like to get to them as quickly as possible. First up, we've got Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. This is a classic, but it's a really nice classic. It's really short. It's about this young girl named Catherine Morland who loves reading Gothic novels. Like, she loves them and consumes them and wants to be a heroine in a Gothic novel. She meets this really hot rich guy named Henry Tilney, and he takes her to his home, Northanger Abbey. And Catherine decides that this is an old manor, it's gotta be haunted, there's gotta be a vampire, or a woman, or severed heads everywhere. And so this is about her quest to become a Gothic heroine and the sort of positive and negative implications that entails. I love this book. I read it when I studied abroad in London, which I'm obliged to mention like in every video that I studied abroad in London. But I ended up writing like a 25-page research paper on this, talking about it's a Jane Austen feminist criticism of the Gothic novel. And it's not just that, it's just really funny and really cute, and it's a cute little romance that I absolutely adore. Speaking of Gothic novels, we've got The Monk by Matthew Lewis. Not the Matthew Lewis from Harry Potter, thank God. So, I'm going to talk about this book, but just a quick trigger warning because this book does mention rape and sexual violence, so I just wanted to let you know that ahead of time. So, this book I read as a sort of reference to Jane Austen's Northanger Abbey. This book, I believe, is mentioned a few times in Northanger Abbey, so I picked it up to help me out to see what Jane Austen is really criticizing. And this book, it's not something you should take seriously. It was hilarious. So, this book is about a monk who is super devout, but then he sees a pretty girl and is like, no. So, he's basically immediately sells his soul to the devil, encounters a sorceress who he decides to start having sex with. She gives him a magic branch so that he can pass through walls and basically, you know, assault her. And that part isn't funny, that part of the book isn't funny, but everything else is just so ridiculous because the main character is very much about his faith, but the minute he sees any pretty girl, he's like, nope. So, I would say this is both spooky and kind of entertaining. It is a Gothic novel, so it was written a long time ago, and that can kind of make it dense. But I think if you're kind of into literature, but you don't want to be into serious literature, this is a good way to go. And the last of the classics that I'll be mentioning is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. You can tell how much I love this book because it is beaten and torn up and just loved too much. This is probably one of the first 5 classics I ever read, and this is probably one of the deciding factors in me becoming an English major. This book is so good, and if you haven't heard of it, you should, and that's why I'm here. So this is about Jane Eyre, who is an orphan and grew up in a very troubled household, and she goes to be a governess for the ward of Mr. Rochester, who lives in this large manor called Thornfield Hall. Of course, the two have some intellectual discussions, and they quickly fall in love, but Thornfield may be holding some secrets, because there is random laughter throughout the halls, things are being mysteriously set on fire, men are being stabbed, Mr. Rochester is a literal joke of a human. It's really good, really powerful. It's also a very feminist book. I've seen this mentioned over and over again as a sort of early feminist critique of how women's sexualities are so heavily guarded. So, read Jane Eyre. The Dresden Files series by Jim Butcher. I've only read the first 3 books in the series, and that is Stormfront, Full Moon, and Grave Peril. These books are about Chicago's only known wizard, Harry Dresden, and they're sort of detective mystery stories, and basically he's solving crime. From werewolves to ghosts, he's gonna defeat them all. They're very funny, very light reads. I don't laugh out loud with a lot of books, but I always laugh out loud with these. Harry Dresden's voice is always very humorous, and even though I do have some problems with the sexism, they're very good books to read if you kind of want a light, supernatural, October-y feel. Next up, we've got The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval. This book is not really seen a lot on BookTube, but it's really short. This book is actually like 149 pages, so you can probably finish this in 1 or 2 sittings. So, The Ballad of Black Tom is sort of a Lovecraftian tale mixed with the Black Lives Matter movement. This book follows Charles Thomas Tester as he is basically trying to make ends meet. He's playing music, he's trying to make money for his father. However, he's a black man living in 1920s Harlem, so that's really hard. When his father is suddenly shot and killed by policemen in his own home, even though he was unarmed, Charles Thomas Tester turns to dark magic and becomes Black Tom in order to avenge the people who not only killed his father, but they also evaded justice. This is a really, really good and dark book. The main theme of this is about staying woke, and it uses a lot of Lovecraftian themes, which I think is very interesting, because if you don't know, H.P. Lovecraft was a huge racist. If you don't believe me, Google the name of H.P. Lovecraft's cat. You will be shocked. So, this book is really good. It's really creepy. It's really short. I will say that sometimes the characterization kind of doesn't always follow through, but I still really liked it, and I think it's a really quick October read if you're looking for something a little spooky. And finally, we've got the Diviner series by Libba Bray. If you don't know, this is one of my favorite book series of, like, all time. It's so good. Imagine ghosts, 1920s New York, people with supernatural powers, flappers. It's got it all. So this book follows a group of teenagers in New York City in the 1920s, called the Diviners. And there are ghosts roaming New York City, and spooks, and the Diviners are here to save the day. I'm sorry I can't give a better description, but a lot happens in these 3 books, and you have to read them. There's a lot of diversity going on, which I think is really interesting, and an overarching mystery, and a creepy, like, overarching villain. Like, even though all 3 books cover different types of ghosts that are haunting New York City, the main villain is chilling. And this book is a really interesting critique of America that I think is still, you could still apply these criticisms today, and I think that's very interesting. These books are very big and hard to hold, so I think you should read them because they're big and wonderful. If you like the Dresden Files series, you might want to try River of London by Ben Aronovich. I can't remember what the American names were for these. These are the British versions. I got them in London, where I studied abroad, in case you forgot. And they're really good. They're really funny. Ben Aronovich is a cool guy. I got to meet him in person. This book is kind of similar to the Dresden Files series, but it does take a little more scientific view at the supernatural. This policeman can talk to ghosts, and he can see ghosts, and he is training to be a wizard, and it's basically mysteries around London. And those are my October reading recommendations. What are yours, or have you read any of these books? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also follow me on my social media. I'm especially active on Twitter, and it's always pretty easy to contact me through there. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!